Hey guys, what's up? It's Raven. Today I'm here with my mom, Chef Tony, and I wanted to bring her onto my channel again because I kind of wanted to make a part 2 to a previous video that we did called Can I Really Afford My House? It was a video that we did right in the kind of beginning of my home building, home buying stage, and I kind of explained to you guys the initial process of buying a home, all the financial stuff that goes into it, and kind of give you guys some more details about kind of the first steps. But I wanted to bring my mom back on my channel because now I'm at the point where my house is basically done and I'm about to be closing and moving in within like a week from today. So I wanted to kind of fill you guys in on everything that has happened since that last video that we made, give you guys some more details on the actual building process and things that I personally experienced. So definitely make sure to check out the first video that we did if you guys want to know more about, like I said, the beginning stages of actually like financing the home and all that stuff. We talked more about those details in the first video. For this video, we're going to be talking more about like after that, like when it comes to actually building the home. I am building a pre-designed home, so it's not a custom home. My mom was telling me that back in the day they used to call it a trap house.
Not a trap. I've heard it referred to as a tract home, not T-R-A-C-K, tract home. Tract home, T-R-A-C-T, which means that in your neighborhood that you're building, there's going to be several homes that have that same floor plan. They probably won't all look alike because they'll have like different paint colors, different types of brick, but on the inside, the floor plan is basically the same.
The basic blueprint of the house is the same, and like, for example, in the neighborhood that I'm building in, you kind of have different options. You know, they give you floor plan options, types of houses. You pick one because you can view the model homes, which that's what you guys saw me doing in my vlogs, is I was going through the model homes to see all the different floor plans, and then I picked one that was already pre-designed from that. But the reason why it kind of feels custom, as you guys were following along my vlogs, is because they do let you pick certain options, like my mom was saying with the paint, certain exterior things. You do get to pick and choose and change a few things, but the main, you know, design of the house is already pre-designed, so it's not fully custom.
So was that a surprise to you that when you saw the model home and then you sat down and got ready to buy the actual home, you're finding out, well, this is not included, that's not included, this is an upgrade, that's an upgrade?
Yeah, I think I already knew going into it because I watch a lot of HGTV and stuff like that. I kind of had some knowledge that when you're viewing a model home, the model home is very souped up. They have like all the upgrades. Of course, they're making the model look as nice as possible. So it's basically like the most expensive version of that house that you can get. So I kind of already knew that going into it. But I guess what I didn't realize about my house specifically is how many of those specific things were actually upgrades. And they also don't necessarily tell you, you know, right off the bat, which things are upgrades and which things are standard. So you're kind of finding out as you go, like, oh, I wanted my house to look like the model home. And they're like, oh, well, that's an upgrade. So if you want it to look like that, you're gonna have to pay extra to add that on. It was my own choice. I didn't have to add any upgrades, but I definitely added upgrades to my house because I wanted it to look like the model that I saw, that I fell in love with. So that's something you kind of have to be careful of. Like, keep that in mind. If you're going to look at model homes, beware that it's not really, that's not the standard, you know, it's gonna cost extra if you want it to look like that.
They really charge you a lot of money for upgrades. If you decide that you don't want the basic flooring and you want an upgraded flooring, the price of that flooring typically through the builder is going to be many, many times more what you would pay if you just went to Home Depot and bought that same flooring.
And of course it's different, you know, you might have a different experience, different builders, different stuff going on, but generally speaking, I talked about on my Snapchat, I think I'm gonna insert a little clip from my Snapchat. I made an analogy about Subway. Okay, here's a good example. You know, when you go to Subway, you can just do like a build your own sandwich and just pick the kind of bread, the kind of meat, the kind of cheese, the kind of everything, just everything custom, just make up your own thing. You could put tuna, ham, mustard, and olives together if you want to, even though that's disgusting. You could do it because it's build your own, right? That's custom. But what I'm doing is more so like you go to Subway and you say, I want the Italian meatball sub. That's already like a pre-made recipe. But then they ask you, you know, a few questions if you want a few little extra toppings to go with it. But the main thing is already set in stone. These are the toppings that we offer. And then I was like, I don't really like those toppings. And they're like, well, too bad. You have to pick one of them. And then I was like, well, can I just go to the grocery store and buy my own toppings and then bring it back over here and then y'all put the toppings on the sandwich? And they were like, no, this is Subway. We don't do that. That's like messing with our health code. Like, we can't just be using stuff from other stores. And so then they were like, if you want to put extra toppings that we don't have, you're going to have to just buy this sandwich with what it comes with. And then you could go to the store and you could put the own toppings out there if you want to, but we're not going to do it for you. Like, that's not how this works. I'm going to the grocery store and I'm buying my own toppings and I'm gonna add it on there myself. Also, you gotta remember that Subway be taxing on their toppings. They charge you like $1 for one slice of bacon, when if you go to the grocery store yourself, you could buy a whole pack of bacon for $1. So with me going third party after the house is already done and going directly to the source and buying the materials myself, I'm definitely saving money, because the builder, if I was doing a custom home, the builder would have taxed me on those materials. They would have said, oh, it costs this much. When really, if I would have went straight to the source, it does not cost that much, because Subway be taxing, just like builders be taxing, you know? So when you're upgrading stuff, it ends up costing more overall to just get the builder to upgrade. So that's why for some things in my house, I'm actually kind of upgrading it myself after the fact. And I see that a lot of people do that. They'll kind of just buy a standard home with a lot of standard finishes, and then they'll go in and upgrade certain things themselves.
Say linoleum was an option. Do y'all know what linoleum is?
That nasty plasticky floor.
Linoleum is the cheapest thing you can put on the floor. I don't think anybody puts linoleum anymore. But like the first house I bought back in 1980,
back in the 1900s.
When you're building the house, you could say, just put linoleum, because that's not only the cheapest thing to pull up, but it was pretty
easy to rip out.
So that if you wanted upgraded carpet or upgraded tile, you could do that. I do know some people in the neighborhood that I live in now who built a house and just had tile put everywhere, although they wanted hardwood. Before they moved in, they actually went through and had all the tile pulled up and then put down hardwood. But they felt like the cost savings was worth the inconvenience.
So yeah, anyway, in my case, I chose to actually upgrade. I chose actually a lot of upgrades within the builder, because some stuff is like, you just don't want to mess with it yourself after the fact. I could have put in all the cheapest standard stuff and then went and ripped out everything and changed everything myself, and maybe it would have saved me some money, but I don't have that kind of time or energy to be doing a whole construction after the construction. So a lot of stuff I did just go ahead and upgrade with the builder, have them do it how I want it. But then there were a few things that I was like, okay, first of all, they don't have the option that I really, really want. Second of all, they're not letting me go and buy it from an outside source and have them install it for me, which a lot of you guys were recommending, but they wouldn't let me do that. So I was like, okay, just go ahead and put the cheapest thing in and I will upgrade it myself after the fact. So for me, it was kind of a balance of both, but it just kind of depends on the upgrades that you're wanting. You also kind of have to make basically mini down payments on all of your upgrades, basically deposits. So these things sometimes can be pretty pricey, and they want to basically make sure that you're going to be able to pay for all these extra upgrades. So every time that I added upgrades to my house, whether it be extending my patio, adding extra lighting, doing more expensive tile, all these things that I upgraded through the builder, I had to pay a deposit right then and there.
And those deposits go towards your down payment. It's not like it's in addition to your down payment.
It's not in addition to, but it's more so just the timing of it, knowing that you need to have this cash on hand right now.
You put a deposit on the lot.
Deposit on the lot before you start building.
You put a deposit on the structural upgrades. You put a deposit when you got your electrical and exterior options like extra light fixtures. You put a deposit when you chose your design elements like paint, flooring, bathroom tile, countertops. And when you chose your audio visual elements like your security system, your sound system. May not be true for all builders. This is what your builder required.
Yeah. Of course, all this stuff varies, but it's just the main point that I'm making is that it's not just the down payment that I have to be prepared to pay, but it's all these things kind of leading up to it. So some people I saw were confused. I did not buy this house outright in cash and just write a check for the whole amount of the house and just have it paid off. I didn't do that. I will be having a mortgage payment. So I also wanted to tell you guys kind of the truth about building a house. You know, some of the stuff that's not so glamorous, not so positive. I don't want you guys to take this the wrong way, that I'm not thankful or excited about my house, but think of it like having a baby.
Ooh, I was gonna use that same analogy.
Think of it like having a baby. Pregnancy sucks, giving birth sucks, and you're gonna complain about the process, but that doesn't mean you don't love your baby, you know?
That wasn't the analogy I was gonna give.
A lot of work and stress and stuff goes into it, but it's worth it.
No, my
It's
analogy
not that you're not
was,
thankful.
when it comes to building a house, it's like having children. If you knew how stressful and how nerve-wracking it was gonna be, you probably wouldn't have done it.
Okay, that's not, I was trying to make a positive analogy so that you guys know that I'm not just being negative.
Okay, but let me say, but, you know.
It's worth it in the end, so don't take this as just like complaining, but I just wanted to be honest with you guys and let you guys know some of the negative, stressful stuff that comes with building a house. You know, look out for these things. This is stuff that was new to me. I didn't necessarily expect all this stuff. So one of the first things is when they actually start building the house, you have to keep an eye on them and constantly come and check in on the building process, because they will make mistakes. And they actually even told me, the builder told me in our first meeting before they started building, they were like, we are going to make mistakes. We're going to be honest with you. Mistakes always happen, but don't worry. You know, we're going to work to fix everything, and we're going to make sure we give you, you know, a perfect house at the end of the day, but we are going to make mistakes. So don't be shocked. So I'm thinking like, oh yeah, whatever. But then they actually did make mistakes. One of the first things that stands out in my mind is that I picked a very specific decorative tile for one of the bathrooms, and I was all excited to go check on the house and go see it. I go walk in and it's the completely wrong tile. It's already laid and installed and everything. And I'm like, this is not the right tile. So I had to let my builder know, this is not the right tile. This is actually the tile that I picked out. They're like, oh, it was a confusion between the two names and blah, blah, blah. So then they have to go in there and rip that tile out and replace it. So things like that definitely happen, and they happen more than you might think. I mean, it's different for everyone, but
it's a good idea if you catch it early. I mean, yes, I don't know if that's something the builder would have caught.
Yeah, they didn't even know. They didn't know that it was wrong until I told them.
You know, the tile was installed. It was like one number off in the design number. It's best to catch the errors early so they can have plenty of time, because they may need to order. I mean, they did. They may have to place an order for something that has a long lead time, and that's going to slow your whole home building process down.
I personally, you know, we're checking for mistakes ourselves. Of course, the builder is checking their own work, but we have to check and be vigilant and be on it. And we're emailing them all the time, sending them like, hey, we noticed this. Hey, did y'all did it? Like, we're checking in and letting them know so that they can kind of pick up the pace a little bit, because sometimes like they might not even, like with the tile, they didn't even know that it was wrong until I told them.
Especially in a neighborhood, if you're building in a growing neighborhood where they're building a lot of houses, that one particular builder may have, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 houses being built at the same time. And it's really hard for them to, you know, keep track of every single thing.
It was a very involved process. That's what I didn't think. Like, I'm thinking, okay, they're just gonna go build it. Like, okay, bye, go do your job.
Just say, okay, go build my house. I'll see you when it's done. No, you don't do that.
It's very involved. Checking in like every day. It's like emailing, going to their office, checking on the house. Like, it was a lot. So it's not all about the mistakes that the builders make. It's also mistakes that the homeowner might make. So me personally, when I say mistakes, I mean like, okay, so I had all these design meetings, not all these, I only had a few design meetings, which is what made it hard when they're asking me what I want for all of my options, all of my colors, the flooring, the tile, the walls, all that stuff. They're asking me what I want, and I'm coming up with these designs in my head, and I'm trying to look on Instagram and Pinterest and see what I want my design to look like, and I have a main idea, but I only basically had 3 days, 3 meetings to talk about everything, look at the samples, finalize everything. So it was a very fast process. They don't have time to just be like letting you think about it for months. Like, they need to know, what do you pick so we can start building. So I felt a little rushed with that process. I felt overwhelmed trying to design the entire house and pick all the tile and all the countertops and make sure everything matches and blah, 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 blah. And I thought I did a pretty good job. But then once they started building and once they started putting in the countertop and the tile and stuff like that, and I started seeing how everything was coming together, I was like, I don't don't like some of the stuff that I picked, or this actually doesn't really match. These colors don't go together like I thought they would now that I'm seeing it like in the full room. Because when you're doing it, it's like they're showing you these little samples and you're like trying to like look in different lighting and stuff. So my bathroom was a very challenging room. And when I saw my bathroom coming together, I was like, Raven, like, what did you pick? Like, what the heck? But at that point, that's my fault. That's not their fault. So I picked it. So now what?
What do you wish you had done differently? I mean, I talked to you about hiring a designer.
Yeah, you can hire a professional designer to come in and help you.
One thing they do is they tell you that the design center has, you know, interior designers on staff. And true, they may be interior designers, but these are not designers that know your particular style. That they have not really sat down with you to learn, like, what is your style?
And they don't have time. I think the main thing for me is the time, because they have designers in there that kind of walk you through everything and kind of help you design it, but they're kind of just like, okay, this is what we have, what do you want? But first of all, they don't have a lot of time to sit there and talk about your personal style and sit there and try a bunch of different combinations. It's just rushed. That was my thing. I'm the type of person that needs to kind of think about stuff, you know, put something together. No, I don't really like it. Let me tweak it. So I wish I would have had more time. Also, I'm very picky. So even though they had 50 tiles to choose from, I was like, I don't like any of these, honestly. So there were certain things that I felt like even with upgrading it, even the upgraded options, I was like, I don't like these. So I kind of just picked something that I thought would be good enough. And then when it came down to it, I still wasn't happy with it.
Typically they will say, our design center is open on these days and you can go. They did have preview days. So you can go and look at what they have and then kind of make mental notes to yourself.
And I did go. We did go.
You did that. But then when you sit down to actually pick the stuff, there's 2 appointments. You know, when we built our house, there was only 1 appointment that was 3 hours long to pick everything.
We went once on our own time when the showroom was just open, just to kind of browse around and see what they had. Then we went in for the actual first meeting, which is where they're like, okay, start getting your ideas together. Then on the last meeting, it's like, okay, you have to finalize it and sign off on it. So that was it. Maybe I could have taken more time ahead on my own time to just go visit the showroom. 99% of the house, I think, came out good, came out, you know, matching my vision. There's just little things here and there that I wish I would have picked different stuff. And I am gonna have to go back afterwards and just kind of tweak my choices and spend a little bit more money to tweak my choices to make it perfect how I really wanted it. Another thing when it came to designing the house is that there were still some things about the house that I didn't realize were upgrades from the model home. And so I kind of automatically thought that I was gonna get the same thing that was on the model home. For example, in my backyard, the patio and the stairs that were on the patio, it looked really pretty on the model home. I thought that was just standard because they didn't tell me it was an upgrade and I didn't ask. I didn't think, that's kind of, you could say it's more my fault for not asking about every single detail, because like I said, you have to be very involved in this process and make sure that you're asking questions. But I just assumed that my house was gonna look like how it was on the model home with, it was like there's a fan on the patio and there's like stairs on the patio and everything. So they're building the patio and I'm like, how come I don't have a fan? How come I don't have stairs? And they're like, oh, those are upgrades. You didn't buy those, basically.
Well, sometimes it's a matter of semantics too, because you did ask, you know, am I going to get stairs on my patio?
Well, yeah, I said, am I going to get stairs?
Yeah, you're going to get some stairs. It's like, okay.
But what kind of stairs? Because the model home has these nice concrete stairs, and they were talking about small wooden stairs, which was the standard. And I was like, no, I'm not talking about those stairs. I'm talking about making it look like the model home. And they're like, oh, that's an upgrade. Do you want to add that on? You can still add it on. So luckily, I was still able to add that on, and I still had time. But it was just a few little things like that that kind of caught me off guard, because I just assumed it was standard and it really wasn't. And then it was like an added cost that I wasn't necessarily expecting. So yeah, you have to ask a lot of questions. Every detail of the house, make sure if it's an upgrade or not, make sure you actually added it on, make sure it's in writing on your plan. Because there was some stuff like the doors on my office that I was like, I'm pretty sure I picked these French doors for my office, but y'all put in regular doors. And I'm pretty sure I asked for French doors. So we had to go back and check the paperwork. And then luckily they found it. They're like, oh yeah, you did ask for these French doors. We're gonna change it. They ended up changing it to the wrong thing again. And then they ended up changing it. I've had 4 different sets of doors on my office alone because of how many times it got messed up or confused. It's correct now, and like my builder said, they're gonna do everything they can to correct it at the end of the day, but...
I feel like the most important part of what you just said is get it in writing. And we learned that with building our house too, that you sometimes are having conversations with the sales office and you say, oh, by the way, I want this, this, and this. And you're hoping that they write it down and add it to the plans. But in the end, if you don't have written documentation,
it doesn't count.
It doesn't get to the right person, then you're just out of luck.
Send an email so that you have it in writing. Send an email saying, just a reminder, I'm asking for this, this, and this, or I want to change that. That way it's in writing. So if anything happens, it's like, well, I have this email that said that y'all were going to do this, and you can go back and point that out, but you can't go back to a conversation and say that that counts.
Yeah, that's really
so
cool.
You go into it making your overall design, your overall choices, and you think you're done, you're not done, because you're probably always going to go in and change stuff, especially as the house starts being built and you start visually seeing what certain stuff looks like. You're going to be like, no, I didn't actually want it like that. No, actually I changed mine. Actually, I do want to add this on.
And of course, it's best to keep those things to a minimum if you can. Because the more things you change, the more things
you're making it more complicated and more expensive.
But it's inevitable that something is going to be, you're going to want to change it. Some things they cannot change.
Yeah, that would make me mad.
They told her.
You got to be careful with some things because some things you're not going to be able to go back and change.
You know, after you saw your bath.
Oh, I get so mad thinking about it. I almost want to cry talking about it right now because I'm so mad about it. But
it'll be fine.
Okay, so like I said, some things are not a big deal. It's like, oh, sure, we'll change it. Some things cannot be changed because it's such a big deal constructually. So in my master bathroom, originally, when they first asked me, they were like, do you want a freestanding tub? I'll insert a picture of what that looks like. Freestanding tub, or do you want the built-in tile tub? And for some reason, I don't exactly remember my exact reasoning why I chose the tiled in tub. I know partially because that was the cheaper option.
Yes, and you thought, well,
and I thought I wanted like the nice, I wanted the edge around it because then you can like put candles and stuff. Like, I don't know, in my head I was like, okay, I want the tile tub. And then I picked the tile and I designed the whole bathroom around it. But then when I actually saw the bathroom come to life, when they first put in the tile tub, I was like, I hate this. Why did I pick this again? Like, this makes no sense. It takes up more space in the bathroom, so it makes the bathroom feel smaller. The edges of it look kind of sharp. Like, I feel like I'm gonna hit my cat, like hit my shins on it and cut myself. Like, I just hated the way it looked. The functionality of it didn't make any sense. Like, when I saw it come to life, I was like, why the heck would I ever pick this? Like, what is wrong with me? But I picked it, so it's not their fault, it's my fault. But I was like, okay, I know it's gonna cost me. They're gonna charge me because this is like a big thing to rip out, but I'm just gonna ask them if they can rip it out and just go ahead and put the freestanding tub. I know it's gonna cost me, this is my fault, whatever, but I really hate this. So I go and I ask them, I'm like, actually, I really hate that tiled in tub. Can you rip out the tile part and just make it a freestanding tub? And I'm worried about how much they're gonna tell me it's gonna cost to rip it out. I'm not even really thinking that they're just gonna flat out tell me, no, they can't do it. But they told me, no, they can't do it at all because it's like the way the tub is like in the foundation of the house, and it's like some big thing where they would have to like rip out the whole foundation of the house. And they're just like, no, at this point, we're not ripping that out. We cannot do that. It's gonna be too much. And I was so devastated. I was like, no, because it's a pretty big thing, you know? I don't know. It's fine. At the end of the day, it's a nice bathroom. It's a nice tub. I'm gonna make it work. I'm not gonna dwell on it, but it's stuff like that. You have to be careful because even if you're prepared to pay extra to change it, sometimes they might just tell you, no, it's not possible.
So let's talk about what's happened in the last few weeks. You've had your inspection. One thing that, you know, we really recommend, and most people will recommend, is that you hire your own independent inspector. And you want to do this about 2 weeks before closing. That inspector, he looks actually for cosmetic stuff, but he mostly looks for structural stuff and things and making sure the house is to code. Of course, the house has had to pass several inspections from the city and I guess the county, I don't know. The inspector in your case found some things that the builder and I guess the city inspector didn't even
I don't
find
know what happened with
because
that.
it was pretty major. And that particular thing was they had installed the wrong window in her bedroom.
By law or by code, you have to have an opening window in every bedroom, but mine were just more so decorative windows that didn't open. And I personally love the way it looks because it just looked very clean and decorative. But what happened was they accidentally put the decorative window in my bedroom and put the opening window in my like dining area. So they switched them on accident when they were installing them. But by code, you have to have an opening window in your bedroom. So the inspector that I hired was the one who noticed that. The builder didn't notice it. Somehow the city didn't notice it. I don't know what happened, but it's a good thing that my inspector caught that because they ended up having to rip the windows out and switch them. And it's a safety thing. You know, you need to have that. It's, you know, in case there's a fire or anything. So it was really good that he caught that. And that's why it's important to hire your own inspector on top of all the inspections that are going on. It costs like
it depends on the size of your house.
Like,
for your house, it was like $600. But this is an inspector that we've used before, and he's very, very thorough. I mean, he picked up on some cosmetic things that we hadn't picked up on before.
And it's kind of like holding the builder accountable too, because he's picking up on every little detail, and he wrote up a whole list with pictures and everything of all these little things that could be fixed or done better or need to be changed. And then I have this packet that I can hand to my builder and be like, this is all the stuff my inspector noticed. Y'all need to fix all this stuff, because we wouldn't have even noticed it with our naked eye. We don't know.
So the day after the inspector did your independent inspector did his thing, then you went through your initial walkthrough. And again, this is 2 weeks before closing.
So just got to the house. We're about to do the walkthrough. The house is about like 95% done. This is like the first official day that it's actually like a finished house, pretty much, like not a construction site. So we're gonna do the walkthrough. That's basically where we just go and check everything, make sure everything's good, find any flaws and mistakes. The purpose of it is to show me how everything works in the house and just kind of give me a tour of my own house, but also so that we can go through and check everything and see if we notice any flaws. And they gave us masking tape to mark everything that we noticed. So little stuff, like if it's like a little nick in the wall, we're gonna mark that. Or big stuff like, oh, this is totally wrong and somehow we didn't notice it until now, we're gonna mark that. And he's taking notes, and he's also just explaining like, this is how your garbage disposal works, this is how your stove works, this is how your electrical breaker box thing works, this is where everything is in the attic, you know, just important stuff that I'm gonna need to know. When we did the walkthrough, there was definitely stuff that we noticed, you know, certain doors that were messed up that need to be replaced, there's nicks on the wall, there's different little things. So we marked everything throughout the house, and you'd be surprised how many things you have to mark. Even when you just look at the house, you're thinking it looks beautiful. If anybody else would have came into the house, they would have just said it looks beautiful, like what's wrong with it? But when you start looking, there's like a lot of different things. So we marked the whole house. So right now, as we're filming this video, this is the time frame that he has his workers coming in to fix all that stuff and get the house actually 100% ready and perfect. Need to check it again to make sure, and then we're gonna actually close on the house.
And the one thing that's important about marking it up for defects or imperfections before closing is that cosmetic defects like nicks or something is crooked are not warrantable, meaning they're not covered by your warranty.
Once you sign that dotted line, they're not coming back to fix anything cosmetic. The only stuff they're gonna come back to fix is like major
things that are
structural
broken
stuff or things that are like actually broken, but any like visual cosmetic stuff, they're not gonna come back and fix it. So that's why we were very, very strict when we did our walkthrough. We were marking every little tiny thing because first of all, I'm paying a lot of money for this house, so I feel that it should be perfect as possible. So yes, I am gonna be a little petty when it comes to the walkthrough, and I'm gonna mark this little tiny thing on the countertop. I feel like it needs to be perfect, and there's no shame in, you know, you don't have to feel like you're being petty or you're making more work for them. Like, you know, it deserves to be of a high standard. In a couple of days from today that we're filming this, we're gonna do the final walkthrough, make sure that they fixed all that stuff, make sure that the house is 100%. If it's not 100%, then they will have to hurry up and go and fix it before closing, because you don't wanna close until the house is perfect. Fingers crossed. Hopefully everything will be perfect when we go check, and then we will be able to move on to closing.
A few days ago, Raven received her final documents about the closing from the mortgage company. And what this ends up being is the total price of the house.
Okay, basically what you're saying is that the mortgage company,
they want to let you know what's what on your mortgage before you go to the table. So you'll know how much.
they're putting all the numbers together. So they're we're having trouble explaining this for some reason, but the mortgage company has already put together how much I've already deposited with all those different deposits. They put together what else?
The interest rate is, because the interest rate dropped. You were going to close with a particular interest rate, and then the interest rate dropped. So she's like, oh, do you want this lower interest rate? Why, yes, I do. So they had to recalculate all the numbers, and they said, okay, here's how much you're paying for the house. This is what this report says. This is how much the total price of the house is. Here's all the money you've already given them in deposits. Here's your interest rate. This is what your note's gonna be. This is how much your estimated homeowner's insurance is gonna be. And this is how much your estimated taxes are gonna be. Plus, in order to finance this home, this is how much money you need to come to the table with.
Talking about the down payment.
The rest of the down payment.
The rest
because
of the
you've
down
already
payment.
paid a lot in deposits. You dang near paid the whole.
All of the, so that's something,
the whole deposit,
something important to know. I don't know if we emphasized this earlier, but all the deposits go towards the down payment. So I've already paid a lot of deposits. So I've already brought my down payment down quite a bit. But if it weren't for that, then, you know, I would still have my down payment. So yeah, that's why they're telling me this is how much you've already put in deposits, blase, blase, blase. So this is how much left you have to have for your down payment on the day of closing is when I'm going to write that check, right?
Yeah, actually, I think you have to have a certified check, like go to the bank. Because I don't think they want that check to bounce. Or like
yeah,
so you have to have a certified check.
Closing is going to be like 1 million signatures, big old stack of paper, I'm assuming, and they're going to kind of explain everything. I'm going to sign my life away for owning this house, and then I'm going to write the check for the remaining amount that I owe for the down payment.
Right.
And then that's
it.
My payment to where now I can own the house.
Right.
And then they give me the keys. One more thing is, of course, since they're already telling me what my monthly payments are gonna be, of course, I've already recalculated my personal budget, and I already know what I'm gonna be paying per month on my house, plus insurance, plus, you know, estimating the utilities, estimating everything so that I can get my budget together before that time comes so that I can be prepared. You always want to make sure that you do your budgeting ahead of time so that when you get to it, you're not like scrambling.
Can you sum up your feelings about this whole process from beginning to end? And now that you're getting to the end of it, how are you feeling about the whole process? Would you do it again?
I would do it again just because, like, I'm pretty sure I am going to have to do it. Well, technically, I don't have to build a house again. I'm sure buying an already built house would be a lot less stressful, although it probably is stressful anyway. I wasn't prepared for how stressful it actually is and how involved it actually is and how many steps and how many details and all this stuff, and also how expensive it is. You know, I went into it with an original budget. The budget started growing once I started learning more about how much stuff actually costs. But overall, it's like, yeah, I would do it again. I'm overall like I'm more excited than I am stressed, I would say, especially now that the house is like pretty much done and I'm seeing it and I'm like getting excited to move in and I'm thinking about my furniture. But then also too, it's stressful to think about that because I'm like, so much furniture to buy, so many rooms that I'm not used to having to furnish a whole entire house. So it's like a roller coaster of being like really stressed out and feeling like I'm never gonna get this done and I'm spending so much money and oh my God. But at the same time, like you look at your house and you're just like really proud and really excited. So it's like 50-50 of both, but overall it's not like, this is horrible, I'm never doing this again, I totally regret it, I wish I would have just stayed in my apartment. Like, it's not like that. Like, I still think it was very worth it. I still think it was a smart decision. I still think it needed to happen at this time, you know.
Yeah.
Still feel good about my choice, but it's just like I said, having a baby is hard, but worth it.
So the next couple of weeks are gonna be fun.
So yeah, definitely stay tuned on my channel. I am gonna be vlogging on the day of closing. So when I actually get the keys to my house, I'm gonna be vlogging, so you guys are gonna see that. Of course, I'm gonna take you guys through the actual rest of the packing and moving process, move-in day, my first day in the new house, decorating all the rooms, cooking for the first time in my kitchen. There's so much that is about to just happen now that I'm actually gonna move into the house. This is what you guys have been waiting for, and I'm going to be vlogging a lot more. So stay tuned. I'm gonna be making an announcement about my video schedule. But yeah, just stay tuned. There's a lot of content coming. So give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it or found it helpful or interesting in some way. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and so that you don't miss out on all these vlogs that are coming of me actually moving into my house. But that's it. So I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.